What's going on, my good people? Mike Hidalgo here. Thank you for joining us on another FCP Euro DIY. Today we're going to be working on a 2008 Land Rover LR3. Today on the LR3 behind me, we're going to be covering how to do an oil change service. This LR3 is equipped with the 4.4 liter V8, and in front of me we have a Liqui Moly oil change kit, which is available on fcpeuro.com. It includes 8 liters of oil, a drain plug, as well as an oil filter. In addition to that, we have added the Step 1 Liqui Moly additive kit, which includes a can of engine flush, which we're going to add to the engine before we drain our oil, as well as some Ceratec, which we're going to mix in with our fresh oil. We recommend you do this service every 5,000 miles. Ceratec is good for about 25,000 miles. You can boost it in between oil changes with some MOS2. And the engine flush is one of those things where if the vehicle is new to you, you're not sure of the engine's service history, or maybe you just want to give it a fresh start once a year, that's about as much as you're going to need with this. Truly not something you want to do every oil change. But with that, let's take a look at some of the tools you're going to need for this DIY. For this job, you're going to need a 13 and a 10 millimeter socket. We're going to be using a 3/8 drive ratchet with that, as well as a torque wrench. The torque wrench is mainly for the drain plug. A funnel of your choice. Some brake clean is always handy, especially when it comes to cleaning the mounting surface for our oil filter. An impact will make the removal of the shield a little bit quicker, and not pictured here but needed for every oil change, of course, is a catch pan. So with that, let's go ahead and get started on this DIY. All right, my good people, at this point we have already poured our engine flush into our engine. Whenever you're using engine flush, you're going to start by pouring this into what is essentially the old oil in the block. Let it run for 10 minutes at idle, no revving, no driving, and then just get ready to drain the oil directly after that. So we've done that already. We're going to start by opening up the oil fill cap so we can break the vacuum seal and allow the oil to flow a little bit easier from the drain plug. Now with that, we're going to go ahead and hop underneath the LR3 to start draining our oil. We're going to be removing the splash shields. For some of you, you may not even need to jack up the vehicle. Today though, to give you the best view of everything, we're going to throw the LR3 up on the lift and get to draining. So let's do that now. All right, my good people, we are under the LR3. We have 2 metal shields to remove. When you get to this part, just be mindful, these are pretty heavy. They are steel, so they may require a little bit of finesse when you drop them. Also keep in mind, especially if you overland your rig like this one gets overlanded, there's rocks up here, there's dirt, there's debris, so you don't want any of that falling on you. These are typically held in by 10 13 millimeter bolts all the way around, and 2 10 millimeters up front on this smaller shield. You may notice this rig's a little bit modified, so some of the hardware on ours may have changed, but for the most part, 10 13 millimeter bolts, 2 10 millimeter bolts up front. So we're going to work on removing it, and then we'll get to the drain plug and the oil filter. All right, here's our bottom shield. We're just going to take this off and set it over to the side. And with that out of the way, we have 2 more 10 millimeter bolts up front that hold the shield that covers our oil filter. So again, at this point, you're going to take your 13 millimeter socket or wrench and break the drain plug free and remove it. For us, we're going to use our bleeder valve here that was installed by the previous owner and break free the drain plug and allow the oil to drain. Just be mindful, because it is a side exit, it's going to come out with a larger stream, and then as the level goes down, it's slowly going to taper off and basically almost straight shot down. So make sure you have your catch pan area covered. We're just going to go ahead and use our valve here, which was pre-installed by the previous owner, to drain our oil. Whenever you use engine flush, hopefully the goal here is to get all of the sludge out of the block. The oil should come out pretty dirty. In this case, it is pretty dark. We're going to give this its full time to drain until it's done draining, and then we'll pick it back up with removing our oil filter. All right, my good people, at this point, our oil is done draining. We're going to plug up this valve, or in your case, install your new 13 millimeter drain plug. Torque that down to 17.5 Newton meters if you want to be exact. However, 17 Newton meters will do just fine. We're going to close this valve up on our end. Wipe down everything nicely. Our lock back on. This will keep this valve from opening once more. Now we're going to work on removing our oil filter. We're just going to work on hopefully breaking this free by hand. Again, have your catch pan situated. All right, let me just pull this out between the two lines. Whenever you're dealing with a filter like this, you want to make sure the old seal comes off. You don't want to leave it on the block. A double seal will cause a leak. So with that, ours did come off, so we don't have to worry about that. We'll give this a few minutes to drain, and then we'll clean everything up before we install our new filter. All right, my good people, we have our new filter. Again, we're using the MAN filter, which is included with our kit. Very important to lubricate the O-ring on the surface of the filter before you install it. That allows it to seal properly. You want to make sure that your housing is clean. Just a little bit of fresh oil on that seal will do the trick. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this between our lines here. Get that started on there by hand. And we're just going to turn this until it snugs up on its own, and then we'll give it about another quarter turn or so. And that's how we know it'll be nice and tight, and it'll still be able to come off next time we do this oil change. All right, now with that, we're going to grab our front skid plate and our two 10mm bolts, get those started back in, and then we'll continue to attach the rest of the skid plate. All right, my good people, we're going to feed our plate back into place. Make sure you put it in the same way it came out. That way everything holds up nicely. The back portion of it rests on these two tabs that come off of the subframe. So really right now, all we need is the two 10mm up front to hold this in place. All right, we have our shield. We're going to start with two of the front bolts. This is going to be really however you can get organized underneath the rover to do this. We're just going to get a couple started here by hand. No particular order, but the goal is to have one on each end to hold up the plate for us. All right, and for those of you that were paying attention, you may have noticed that our shield was missing some hardware, had some mismatch hardware. We're gonna go and work on getting some of that correct hardware for this truck. But for now, let's head back on top of the LR3 and fill it back up with some oil. All right, my good people, back under the hood of the LR3, we're gonna start filling up our engine with oil. These take anywhere from 7.5 liters to 8. I've seen them take both amounts. I don't know what the difference truly is, but for us, to play it safe, it's always easier to add a little bit of oil than have to remove oil. So we're gonna start with a total of 7 liters of oil plus our can of Ceratec. Then we'll run the car for a few minutes, let it get to temp if we have the time to do so. And then from there, we'll let it sit for maybe another 5 to 10 minutes so we can get an accurate oil level. And then from there, we can top off as needed. Don't forget that these Liqui Moly jugs have a sticker that you can remove, put on the corner of your windshield, and you can write down your mileage intervals on that as well, which is great. Before you pour the Ceratec in the engine, make sure you shake it up really well. Something that I like to do, which is honestly probably extra, is I will pour maybe a quarter of a liter of oil back in here after I pour this out and shake it a little bit more just to get that little bit of Ceratec left in here out. Again, I'm being crazy here, but it's what I like to do. So far we are at 6 liters in. Now we're gonna go ahead and pour this in. These also come with a little tag, which you can label and date, put it on your windshield so you know when the last time you did this was, and when the next time you'll have to pour some in. All right, between the 7 liters of oil and the Ceratec, we are at 7.3 liters, give or take, in our engine. We're gonna let that sit for a moment. We'll check the dipstick before we run it, just to have a rough idea of where it's sitting at. We are just at the max line, so I know once we run this, the oil is gonna get sucked up into the oil filter a bit, dropping our level below, and we'll top it off as needed. After we run it and top it off as needed, my good people, that is going to conclude this DIY for today. Overall, a really straightforward job on the LR3. The most challenging part or difficult part being handling the heavy skid plates underneath the vehicle. But other than that, pretty straightforward. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments on what we did today, or there's a specific job you want to see us do on this chassis, leave it in the comment section below. And if you like this DIY and you want to see more like them, please consider subscribing. We make new ones all the time. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.